Welcome to Peter King's Training Camp Tour, presented by Die Hard Batteries and Advance Auto Parts. Peter King of NBC Sports here in Latrobe, Pennsylvania, bucolic Latrobe, Pennsylvania, with T.J. Watt, the great pass rusher of the Pittsburgh Steelers. So, in reading about you and sort of researching your story before we sat down, and I knew this a little bit, but I didn't really know it. You didn't play football for 2 full seasons after you were recruited to go to Wisconsin. So explain what that was like, and for somebody who lives for football the way you did, what was it like to not step on the field for 2 years?
Humbling, incredibly humbling. I think the thing that I learned most about myself is how much I loved the game over that period of time, because
this was 2013 and 14, right?
Yeah, yep. And I wasn't fully healthy until like 2015.
You were recruited out of high school in Wisconsin to go play for the Badgers,
as a tight end,
which is kind of a badge of honor as a tight end. So then what happened? Why didn't you play for those 2 years?
So I redshirted for most of the year and went up again. I needed a redshirt. I was a young 18-year-old kid going up against 22-year-old grown men. I needed to just develop. And then during bowl prep of my freshman year, I had an MPFL repair. So I tore my...
what is that exactly?
Tore my MPFL. It's basically dislocating your kneecap. So it pops out like this, and you get these nice scars here.
How did that feel?
Terrible. Felt brutal. I actually didn't get the surgery until it tore like 2 or 3 times.
Wow.
So I waited, tried to recover from it, and then came back in spring ball, and same thing happened to the other knee. And then eventually it got to a point where I just said, we need to get the surgery and just see what happens here. So I got the surgery on the one, fixed it, came back for fall ball, and the other one tore again. So I said, okay.
Did you think your career was doomed?
Oh, of course. Of course. It was a situation where I said, I'm going to get the surgery on the left one, so now both are surgically repaired. And if it tears one more time, I'm done. I'm not going to go through this my whole college career. This sucks, having to be on crutches for 3 months at a time. And that was basically when I made the commitment to myself that I was going to dedicate my life to football and trying to be the best player that I can be. And
when was the second surgery?
It was in the fall of 2014 or or in the spring of 2015, somewhere in there. Because I think I got the surgery in fall of 2014 and then another one in the spring of 2015. And then I made this switch to defense.
For somebody who went to college as a tight end and who presumably was training to be a tight end mentally and or physically for 2 full years, what was it like when your head coach says, I think we're going to move you to defense?
Yeah, it was a little.
What happened?
Yeah, it was a little slap in the face at first, of course, because it's like, what am I not a good enough tight end? But I understood. I took a breath and I understood why he was saying it. He said, we need to find a way to get you on the field. And it was just happening because I was torquing on the edge. Guys are falling on me a lot when you're on offense. You don't have those problems on defense. You can usually avoid the piles. So I kind of went home after he told me that, watched some YouTube videos, watched some highlights of guys playing defense, and just fell in love with the attitude and being able to make a play on every single down. You don't have to have the ball run your way to have a good block or the ball thrown for you to make a good catch.
Did you consult with JJ at all?
I think I might have. I mean, I was going to school with Derek too, so I think we had a little conversation about it. But more than anything, I just wanted to play. And if it was going to give me an opportunity to play football, I mean, like I said, 2 years without playing, I just wanted to practice more than anything. So any sort of game time was incredible.
And so then you finally end up playing for a year and a half only. And you then have to make a decision about whether you want to come out or not. What was that decision-making process like for you?
Yeah, it was tough because I felt like I was just getting started. I was starting to get comfortable early on. Stuff was very natural to me, but I didn't really know the X's and O's of everything, so it took me a while to really understand what offenses were trying to do and how to play defense. And I actually got a return to school grade in December when I asked if I should go out or stay in, and it was one of those things where
you had played at that time only 1 full season, as an edge guy,
as a starter. Yeah.
And at that time, let's explain that. So guys who still have eligibility left can petition to the NFL to ask a group of scouts, what is my draft grade? And is it your recommendation that I stay in school or go into the draft, first, second, or third round? What exactly did your petition say when it came back?
It said return to school. It said you need time to develop as a player. So basically, from that point on, I said, when I made the switch, I said I'm dedicating my life to football. I'm betting on myself. I know how hard I work. I know what I can do. I'm a believer in myself. I have a great support system. So when I read that letter, I was like, these people don't know me. All they know is what they see on film. They don't know me personally. They don't know how hard I work, how hard I'm going to work to show these teams that I belong here. And that's kind of from there. I ripped up the paper and said, screw it, I'm going to the NFL.
Do you remember what the next 4 months were like? Because it was at that point you now have to prepare for the draft in April. Mm-hmm. You announced that you were going to come out. And then what did you do for those 4 months?
Got on a flight right after the Cotton Bowl to Arizona and just started training as much as I could, eating the right food, hydrating, getting the right sleep, trying to do all the little things that I knew that my workout partners at Exos weren't necessarily doing. Because it's such you have to find those marginal gains, that 1%, what's going to separate you. Everywhere you go during that whole draft process, you have to be able to look a coach in the eye and say, what separates me from everybody else? And I think that's super important to know what you're good at and also what your weaknesses are so you can work on those.
I want to just go back and ask you one other thing about your history. There's 3 Watt brothers who currently play in the National Football League. When you were growing up in Wisconsin, did you guys ever talk about that? Did you think about it, or was it just a silly pipe dream?
Never. It was one of those things where we were always looking at the next thing. So growing up, my dad coached JJ, he coached Derek, and I was always a little ball boy. So I always looked up to my brothers, and I just want to play 5th grade football. I want to be the quarterback. And then once I start going to high school games and see JJ playing in high school, it's like, that's what I want to do. And I never really watched NFL football, and my grandpa would have it on yelling at the screen, telling the Packers to pass the ball on 3rd down, stuff like that. But never really watched the NFL. And
was your first memory of the NFL Favre?
Oh, of course, yeah. Favre,
Did you guys like Favre?
Franks and stuff like that. Yeah. I love Favre. I joke all the time. I think I won as Brett Favre for Halloween 4 or 5 times.
Didn't the jersey feel maybe a little bit too small on you after a while?
Yeah, of course. I just kept getting hand-me-downs from my brothers, so I kept getting new ones.
So, here's the other thing I want to ask you about being in your family. Was it ever tremendously intimidating to have your brother winning the Defensive Player of the Year award in the NFL, and you're just trying to make a little name for yourself? You're trying to get on the field, get healthy, get on the field at Wisconsin. I always thought about you in that way. What must it have been like? It's like the impossible dream. How could I ever compete with, my demigod brother?
I think I decided to look at it as I have a blueprint of what it takes to get to where he is. And you could look at it I despise my brother. He's got all the success. But my brothers, both of them are the coolest people. They give me so much advice. They're not going to keep anything close to the vest. If I have any questions, they're going to help me. And I got a first pass behind stage look at how to be a dominant NFL football player. And just so grateful that he was an open book for me. And any questions that I have, whether it's football related or life related, he's always been there to help me, and so has Derek.
Did part of you feel like I want to make my own way, and I want to make it, even if I'm not, the international superstar that he is, that I really want to make it too?
Yeah, of course. I've always told people I don't want to be the superstar. I don't need all the fame. I don't need all that. I just want to be a great football player. And I've seen two people from the house that I grew up in drank the same milk I drank, ate the same meals I ate, and they made it to the NFL. So why can't I do that? And I feel like if I put my best foot forward, and I feel like I can be one of the best players to play football, and it's just having the confidence in doing that. And I think that's a huge thing in the National Football League, is to have that confidence. And once you have confidence with the hard work, it's very hard to be stopped.
I want to ask you about being a Pittsburgh Steeler. when I was a kid, I was in high school, and the Steelers are either winning the Super Bowl or contending for it every year. Might have had the best defense of all time. And it's really something for generations of Pittsburgh Steelers to follow, to basically say, hey, listen, our goal is to do what they did, to hold teams, to shut out teams and all that stuff. How much do you, as a Steeler and as good a player as you are, feel and or appreciate the weight of history around here?
It's huge. It's definitely the elephant in the room. It's something that is talked about all the time. It's not just about us here. It's about all those guys that came before us and laid the foundation of truly Blitzburgh, the Steel Curtain, everything. And it's just trying to make our own legacy within this incredibly traditional organization. And it's very hard to do, and especially nowadays. But that's why, even last year, letting up as many rushing yards as we did is absolutely completely unacceptable for any NFL team, let alone the Pittsburgh Steelers. So it's definitely talked about a lot here in the Trove, where a lot of those teams prepared for seasons.
Two other things. One, you have been in sort of a battle the last couple of years with Aaron Donald for Defensive Player of the Year. Whether you think about that very much or not, you got a couple of ants on you. I'm going to take care of them.
It's Latrobe, it's all right.
Yeah. But I wonder, do you sometimes watch him play and say, holy crap, that guy is good? And to beat him at least 1 year for Defensive Player of the Year, to me, it's almost like the year that Luke Kuechly beat your brother for Defensive Player of the Year. You got to think, holy cow, that is one heck of an accomplishment. Do you ever think of that?
Not really. I love watching football games. Obviously, if he's playing on like a Monday night or a Thursday night, I'm going to watch and always try to steal some sort of move or just see how teams block him and how he defeats them. Because once you get very well known as a defensive player, a game record, there's so many ways where teams try to eliminate you. And I'm always looking for those guys that command offense's attention like he does. So that's mainly what I'm watching. Always trying to steal something more than like being in awe.
Have you ever taken something from him that you now look at your game and said, that is from Aaron Donald?
I don't know if there's anything in specific. I think there's just so many things that he does well, and it's all about playing with the high motor and just playing as hard as you can, and then getting the guy in there for you, and then getting back in there as soon as you're ready. Big old spider. But yeah, I love the game of football. I love watching it. I have the utmost respect for all the players that do it at a high level, and I'm always going to try to steal something.
This year seems like such an interesting year for the Steelers. It's your first year, everybody's first year here without Roethlisberger. There's going to be a new chapter in Steeler history being written. And it's also, when I look at this is a real challenging year. Mike Tomlin has never, in a decade and a half, had a season below 500. Yet, you guys are a total unknown this year. How do you look at this season and what you guys have to do to be successful?
Play good defense is where it starts. Obviously, as a defensive player, I need to say that, but I think that's where it starts. We need to shut teams down early in games, keep the points down, and let our offense go to work. I think obviously we got a good workhorse in Najee. Feel really good about the quarterbacks that we have, whoever is going to be starting in week 1, and we have a good group of receivers as well. So for me personally, I think that we need to do really, really well on defense. We can't have those 100-plus yard running games back-to-back weeks like we had last year. So that's where it starts for sure.
Is it incredible to think that a guy could coach in the NFL for as long as Tomlin has? He's never had a losing season.
If you knew him as well as we know him, it's not as surprising because that guy will motivate you, and he'll have you running into a brick wall with one conversation.
What's he been like this summer so far?
It's been super himself. Like nothing, it's never too high, it's never too low. It's always very transparent. He's going to tell you exactly how he feels, whether you like it or not. And some people don't like that, but I'd rather know where I stand with him as opposed to him sugarcoating stuff and I get cut randomly. He's going to give you an opportunity to win the job.
TJ Watt, thanks a lot. Really appreciate you taking some time. I love your history. It's really fun. It's fun to realize that probably of all the really good players, in the league, you had to kind of invent yourself in the middle of your college career. And it's kind of cool that you were able to do it and gone on to play at a high level. That's got to be fun for you to realize.
Yeah, it's made me appreciate the game. Like, guys all the time complain about being in Latrobe, being in practice 14, but I'm like, hey, the game was taken away from me. I'm just happy to be here.
Yeah. TJ, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
In Latrobe with the Steelers, Peter King with NBC Sports.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.